Slanderer, I'm blood on your shoulder. Get like today, you cannot get like tomorrow. Slanderer, your inside must be hollow. How does it feel to take a life from another? Slanderer. Yes, people, we're back again. It's Profection back again with another video. Budget Banting got released 5 days ago, so you know it's good that the guy's out. Free Budget Banting, and it's happened. I'm really happy for the guy. I hope that he stays away from trouble and gets back to making very good music. We miss you, Budget. It's glad that you're back and you're here. All right, so where we're going to start. This topic is about slander. What is slander? Because I think sometimes you know, I think I mentioned this in another video, that sometimes we sell ourselves out. We're not aware of what we're doing. It's become so common now. You know, I think we're living in a world where the influencers are literally hitting us from everywhere. They're hitting us from our phones. They're hitting us from TV. They're hitting us from newspapers. They're hitting us from our peers. You know, our environments. They're hitting all different kinds of pressure, financial pressure, all different things are hitting us, and we're slowly getting to a point where we're kind of we're losing our innocence, we're losing our kind of our values, our beliefs. You know, we're losing those things, we're jeopardizing those things. You know, slander is something that, you know, anyone, you know, I think we all do it to a certain degree. I did it, in fact I did it in one of my previous videos. I mentioned Joe Rogan on the NoFap, and I said Joe Rogan said in his NoFap video that, what did I say? And that's it, if you abstain from pornography or fornication, that it will cause you to cheat. That in itself is slander, because he didn't actually say that, but I kind of took that assumption, and that's how slander can be so easy. I kind of took that assumption. I said to myself, wait a minute here, but if you're saying that, you know, when you abstain from porn and fornication, you're going to end up with women that you don't really want to be with, then aren't you most likely going to end up cheating on those women? So I made that assumption, but that wasn't what was said, so it comes under slander. Okay, so where does the word slander come from? Well, it comes from the Bible. Slanderer actually means Satan, devil. That's what it means. It goes back to the story of Adam and Eve, how the snake, which was the devil at the time, seduced Eve and told her a lie. If you go over to that tree and you bite the apple from that tree, you will become as powerful as God, and this and that. And that was a lie. Technically he was slandering. He was saying something that wasn't true. You know, saying something about another person that wasn't true. You know, why am I bringing up this subject? Because slanderer, blood is on your shoulder. Slandering can cause people to die, man. It can cause wars. There's people that are doing it, you know, they're just doing it too easy. And I'll be honest with you, YouTube's full of it, man. YouTube is full of it. It really is full of it. That's why I'm trying my best not to mention any names when I come on here. I might bring up a subject and say this and say that, but I don't want to bring up names. I don't want to, because at the end of the day I just don't know, you know. But I think even YouTube is the biggest slander of all. There's so much fake news out there and things like that, you know, and you can easily get caught up in it and actually believe it, you know. So I'm doing this video not just for places like YouTube, which is the home of slander as far as I'm concerned, but also for you know, your friends and family that are around you that are slandering, and they're doing it too easy. They're smiling, you know, they're telling a story which isn't true, and it's a joke to them. It's now, slander's become some sort of joke. But if you understand that it actually means devil and Satan, then you'll be a little bit more, you know, you won't be so quick to kind of slander people. You'll sit back and think, whoa, wait a minute here, that may not be true, you know, and you'll go about it another way, you know, because these things have caused deaths in the past. They have caused wars, you know. I was going to get into a story. I'm still going to do it. This is my second take, but I'm still going to do the first time I was doing it, the video cut out. So let me just go into the story again. Basically, I was going to go into an example of slandering, you know. And the example I was going to use basically was of a Puerto Rican guy or Hispanic guy that was in America, and he was convicted of going into a restaurant and basically slashing this waitress's neck, basically. And two cops picked him up, and to cut a long story short, they held him. He did have learning difficulties and things like that. He had some sort of you know, he was a vulnerable adult, and what they did is they kept him incarcerated in an interrogation room, and they kept him drilling him, and it went on for a good 12 hours, you know, till the man broke down, you know. A quick thing, what I want to say to people is that I was going to do a separate video on, you know, how to break, well, more than how to break a person, but it was just explaining to people that, you know, our minds aren't designed for constant stress, you know, and when you break someone down by bombarding them with stress, and you take away their ability to escape, you basically have them cornered, and you're, you know, because this is more than just the cops interrogating the guy. What I'm trying to do, explain to people that anyone can be broken and anyone can be, you know, if you take away their safe haven, you take away a place that they can relax and chill. You know, for example, if I was working maybe a 12-hour shift, and then after I got home, my wife was abusive to me, and she was bombarding me, you know, maybe with negativity, maybe constant arguments. The build-up of these things would be enough to break me, you know, be enough to break anyone, you know. So if you take away their ability to regenerate, rejuvenate, the ability to escape, the ability to kind of get back to normality, the ability to kind of replenish themselves, they're just constantly bombarded, so there is no escape. Anyone can be broken, you know. Even animals are broken. Like some animals are broken in order for them to be domesticated, you know. So these things are they're going on around us. But basically, they took this guy into a interrogation room, heavily interrogated him for 16 hours. In the end, they forced him through something called noble cause corruption, which is again slander. Noble cause corruption is very important that we understand. This is basically when a police officer believes in his heart and soul that you're guilty, you know, of whatever offense it is, but when they attempt to go at you, there's just not enough evidence there. They know it's not going to hold up in court. They know that they probably won't even be able to arrest you based upon those grounds. So what do? They go for noble cause corruption, and that's where they basically plant evidence, or they'll slander you. They'll say something that isn't entirely true. Now today has changed, because now most police officers will have to carry cameras around and things like that, but that was only introduced, what, 5 years ago, something like that. So prior to that, cops were able to use noble cause, well, they weren't using it, we'll say using it. Cops were using noble cause corruption to convict a lot of people, you know. No cameras around, it's just your word versus theirs. They know the system because, you know, they are the system, and they know that majority of the time they would do it on poor people as well. They're not going to do it on people that are wealthy, because they have a lot more means of kind of, you know, getting support, more expensive lawyers and things like that. So noble cause corruption, they used on this guy based in the interrogation room. They believed it was him. They didn't have the evidence to support it. They forced some sort of confession out of him. But what they also done is they turned around and they said to him, right, after breaking him in the interrogation room, said, right, you also had an accomplice, and your accomplice was this guy here. And he said, no, that's not true. And they said, yeah, it is true. You went into the restaurant, you did blah blah blah, you slashed their throat, and this guy was there with you. And he's like, no, that's not true. They kept him there for a little bit more time, Again, he was a vulnerable adult. In the end, he was just fatigued, he was drained, he just wanted to go home, or he believed he was going home, and he was like, okay, I'll sign it. He did it there with me. And they said, right, he did this, you went into the restaurant, this is what happened, blah blah blah, and they got him to force a confession. So he ended up slandering an innocent guy, a guy that he never even met in his life. And the worst part about it is what actually happened to the guy, because they both did a long stretch in prison. The other guy was raped, sodomized, and all kinds of things. And then on top of that, about 5 or 6 years later, someone approached him from behind with a crowbar and basically bashed his brains in, and the guy ended up as some sort of vegetable, you know. Now later on in the show, he got released, and his parents were like, oh, I'm really sorry for, you know, I'm really glad my son's out, and it's really terrible what these kind of things that happened and all of that. But what about the other guy that he slandered, the innocent guy? You know, what happened to him? He ended up being a vegetable. So he was later on released, but he was released as a vegetable after being raped and everything else. So slander is a very dangerous thing. Please understand that, guys. You know, when there's certain people out there and they're slandering and they're doing it too easy and they're laughing as well. So what is you know, why would someone slander? Some people do it as some sort of a joke. Like they might say, for example, I went out with a friend the other day and we were dancing, and you know, he just basically picked up this girl's drink, yeah, and he just drank the drink. And you're telling a story to try and make it seem like it's funny, but it's not true. You're over exaggerating the story. You know, that's still slander. You know, I had people that would slander while I was there, so it wasn't so much behind my back, it was in front of me. And I'd say, wait a minute here, but that's not true, so why are you? And they would still continue, and they're smiling and they're laughing as they're doing these things. But if we understand that devil, Satan, slanderer, that's what it means, then we shouldn't be so quick to do these things. I think some women are in situations where maybe they're being maybe they're suffering from domestic violence, maybe they're being you know, so they're in abusive relationships. They know they can't tackle this person, their ex-abusive partner, well, not exes because they're still living with them. They know they can't handle this problem physically because this guy is obviously a lot more stronger. So what they'll do is they'll use slander as a way to kind of get out of this situation. They'll just tell lies about it, over-exaggerate the situation in order to, you know, to defend themselves, to get, in order to get some sort of support, you know. Whereas, and then there's more kind of, you know, but what I will say to people is that, just to end it on a final note really, is just be aware when you're slandering, you know, just be aware. Like I said with the Joe Rogan, in the beginning, I said that Joe Rogan made a comment about NoFap, that, you know, if you abstain from porn or whatever, it will cause you to cheat, and that wasn't true. Joe Rogan didn't say that, you know, and it was something as simple as that. I assumed. To avoid slander, do not assume. You know, if you don't know what you're talking about, or you don't know the exact thing, all you have to say is, I think Jack said something like that. He said something along the lines of that, something along the lines. But don't go and check yourself. Go and ask him yourself. You know, I believe he said something like that. I don't want to cause any trouble. I believe he said something like that. You know, it was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. It sounded something like that. So go and ask to do it yourself. But don't be so sure when you don't know. You don't have the facts. You know, you've heard something from somebody else. You've heard maybe your friend's been bullied. You heard a story. You know, you're really emotionally worked up and everything else, and you're angry. What, he said this, he said that, and you know, at the time you're not thinking. Well, guess what? The Bible says, you know, do not be quick to anger. You know, sit down, think about it, compose yourself, and then when you go to see this person, sit down and ask them properly, like, wait a minute here, this is what I heard. You know, get your facts right first, because slander causes lies, basically, can cause death. Anyway, that's my subject on slander. think about it, because it's not a trait that you want to have. So I'm trying to say, it's not. You don't want to have that trait. You know, if we know what it means, we don't want to have that. We don't want that to be a part of us, but it can easily happen. So just all I'm saying is, you just think about what you're doing and become a better person. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I will see you around in another video. Peace.